Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pop Council. I'm Wendy, and hanging out with me today is my co-host, Jami. Nope. Oh, yes, I got it right. Jami Philbrick.
Hey,
Hi,
Wendy. Hey, how are you? I'm
Great.
good. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, happy Memorial Day. Happy Monday to everyone. Look, we got a fantastic lineup of topics today. And if this is your first time joining us on Pop Council, we here talk about everything from Marvel to DC, Star Wars to Lord of the Rings, and everything in between. And today we'll be talking about, of course, The Bad Batch, Episode 5 spoilers. We'll be talking about Danai Gurira reprising her role as Okoye, Chris McDonald casting a secret role in Secret Invasion, and also the worst kept secret ever, Oscar Isaac actually confirmed now as Moon Knight by Marvel, and so much more. But Jami, you guys know, this is not a proper Pop Council without a third member. So today, bringing our dear friend of the show, one of my favorite people in the world, honest to God, our friend Mark Pacis. Oh no, I messed it up. There we go. Hi.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Look at your posters behind you.
I know. Got my Captain America First Avenger and Thor 1 back there. Yeah.
How are you? How excited are you for Love and Thunder this year? No, next year. Sorry.
Next year. Super excited. Yeah, I'm a big Taika fan, so anything that he does, I will be 100% in for. No matter what it is, I'll be there.
I love it. And for our audience who may be meeting you for the first time, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Mark Pacis. I am a writer for Nerd Reactor. I'm obviously clearly a Marvel fan, but I also love Star Wars as well. I'm partially a DC fan. You know, I grew up reading Marvel so much as a kid, and there's just so much to go through that, you know, I just left DC on the wayside. Sorry, guys. But I mean, you gotta admit, there's a lot of Marvel to go around, especially like for Avengers, Spider-Man, X-Men alone is like their own universe. So I just had to like stick with one and then just go right into it. So,
yeah, I feel like I like that. Like there can be a lot. You're not saying like one's better than the other. It's just that you got exposed to Marvel right in the beginning, your childhood. Kind of like I was exposed to Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman were my first. Because my dad is a big DC fan. And then later on, I honestly think for Marvel, it was Spider-Man and X-Men that kind of did me in. Where I was like, oh, I'm a fan. You know, and I sometimes... Yes, I'm not going to hum it because of copyright. But Jami, what about you? For when you first, I know I see behind you the Green Lantern stuff. So I think there's your answer.
Wendy, that's Green Arrow.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My mind was on something else. It is Green. But was that the first comics that you read?
Yeah, so I come from a DC family. My dad was a huge DC guy. Actually, Spirit, which eventually became part of DC, but the Spirit, Will Eisner, that was his comic book growing up, and then he got into Batman and DC stuff. And Green Arrow, actually, he was a big fan of Mike Grell's work. He did John Sable and then the Longbow Hunter Green Arrow series in the 80s. So that's when I got exposed to Green Arrow. But I always say when you're kind of talking about DC or Marvel, it's like baseball. You can love baseball, but you're either a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan. You can't be both.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
That's true.
The sport.
Yeah.
So I love all superheroes, and I certainly grew up watching, you know, the Stan Lee voiced Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon and the X-Men cartoon. And obviously I loved all of the, you know, I love superheroes, so I loved all the Marvel stuff, but DC is sort of my home base.
Nice.
And it's
I love
crazy on how a lot of our exposure to it has been through our, you know, family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
it really
for me, it was my cousins. Like they had Marvel comics, and then I just like, you know, kind of stole them and then read them when I probably shouldn't have, you know, because, you know, they were in a box and they told me, don't open that. But I'm like, I'm curious. I want to read some of this. So. Yeah.
And then it's like destruction, blood.
Yeah.
You're like, ah.
It was my cousins too, Mark. It was actually my dad before I was born got my cousins into comics, and then once I was born, they were able to get me involved with my dad. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love this. I feel like this is what we should be doing for all the guests that come on, and just kind of like get like, how'd you get started? I only because I've never seen Mark's setup. So the nerdage, when did it start? I love it. Start Drew in the chat here says, I did enjoy the detective noir, The Spirit, Run and Hide, and Blue Jays, come on Canada team. Nice.
Go Canada, yeah.
Well, you know where my loyalties lie.
LA. I have the cutest Dodgers Hello Kitty hat. I had to. My first time in Dodger Stadium, and I was like, say what? There's a Hello Kitty Dodgers hat? Immediately bought it. Like immediately, I was like the only thing that I bought. That and like too many hot dogs.
I mean, that's what they're famous for. So
yeah. But didn't I hear? And I know we're talking about like pop culture and movie stuff, but I have to find out. I heard that they were no longer doing Dodger dogs at Dodger Stadium.
I heard that too, but I don't know if it's like officially confirmed, but hopefully not, because I mean, either way, if there is, since we live in LA, we can just go to the local supermarket and then
right.
Anyways, so
it's very true. But I found that interesting. I was like, isn't that like one of the things that people go to Dodger Stadium, get a Dodger dog, watch the game, and now you take that away? Now what? Anyways, you guys, we're here to talk about pop culture and nerd stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with our recap and discussion, spoiler discussion on the Bad Batch episode 5 entitled Rampage, where we got to see, of course, the Bad Batch going on another adventure, kind of maybe making their way into that mercenary field a little bit, something a little bit different for the Bad Batch. They've never done anything before, go in a bar, secret mission from the bar owner Sid, and having to rescue Moochie, who we all thought at the very beginning was the little green folk. And it's funny, when I don't know if this crossed you guys' mind, but as I was watching the show, I said to my husband, well, how did they know that it's this person? What if it's something else, that we don't know, we don't see? And he said, oh, it's because Sid gave them the bounty, like that little chip. And he's like, oh, maybe it had all the information, maybe what they look like. And that made sense to me. And I was like, well, okay, until they gave us the twist. And then I was like, it's not that, it's something much bigger. And we get to see a adolescent, not a baby. I screened Baby Rancor, but it's actually an adolescent Rancor named Moochie. What were you guys' thoughts on this episode, kind of seeing the Bad Batch furthering along and dipping their toe into that mercenary field? Do you see this is something that they're going to have to now continue down that road because they need to build up and have credits in order to actually travel and survive? Mark, your thoughts?
Yes. I mean, that's the most logical way that, that their story arc is going to go, is for them to be mercenaries, because they can't go around, hiding from the Empire, trying to, go without any credits, because that's just not how society works. So I think the mercenary route is probably the way that they're going to go with it, because it makes sense, because they're super elite soldiers to follow orders to a certain extent, but at the same time, they're free to go around and do whatever it takes to, complete the mission. That's why they're different from all the other stormtroopers. And, but I feel like so far with the series so far, it's like everything has been a little, formulaic. Like Hunter tells Omega to stay on the ship. Omega stays on the ship for like a minute second, and then she leaves, and then somehow becomes the MVP of the mission. It's like, that's been like the case for like, I mean, although it's like a little bit different this episode, because she actually did stay, but she was forced to like leave. But she somehow ended up being the MVP of the mission, because she's the one who inadvertently found Moochie. Like, she just like happened to like unlock a gate, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, that's Moochie. I'm like, man, they just did it again, didn't they? They just like made her the MVP of the mission. Oh, and not only that, but she also got the distraction to help the Bad Batch free themselves. So they're like, oh, they're distracted. All right, let's just go and free ourselves. But I will say I did love that fight between Wrecker and Moochie. That was funny. That was the best. Just constantly, just like back and forth. It's like, who's just gonna tire out first? And I'm surprised that Wrecker. I mean, well, not really surprised, but I'm just glad that Wrecker won.
Yeah, same. It's interesting that you brought up the how you've been feeling about like the series and the episode, because that's kind of been a little synonymous to what we've been talking about. I'm a big fan of Star Wars animation, so I am definitely holding out, and I'm trying to be patient to kind of remind myself like these are very short episodes, 20 minutes if you don't count any of the credits and the opening sequence, which kind of takes a bit too. And there's, you know, maybe a lot to develop with Omega, but we're on episode 5 and we still haven't really found out too much about her. So I keep wondering, are they going to drop it on us all at once, like episode 8, like boom, and then after that it's like a roller coaster ride? That's what I'm hoping for. But Jami, let's get your thoughts, because I know how you've been feeling about, like, you know, the series, and not saying they need to rush through to get to a certain point, but things are slow to happen. We're calling this the slow burn show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely is. I will say, you know, give credit where credit is due. This was the first episode since the pilot that, you know, I thought it moved well, and I was interested. It seems like it's a bit of a side story to whatever the overall arc is going to be. You know, it's basically like a prison break kind of episode. But you know, it was fun. It kept me interested. Like, so at least this week I can say like the episode was moving and I was interested in what, you know, was going to happen, even though, again, like to your point, I don't know that we're really getting to whatever the major arc of this first season is going to be. It's definitely a slow bleed. Yeah, it was interesting that Omega got a little bit more to do this week. Again, that's been like a slow bleed, and I was complaining about last week, like, you know, enough of like Omega not staying where she's supposed to and then getting kidnapped and causing trouble, and like I'm just so sick of it. So it was nice that she had like a little bit of a redemption this week, but I'd like to see her get, you know, more, you know, we don't really know anything about her yet, about her past. I'd like that to be discovered a little bit more, like what's her role with this group. And, you know, to me, the series has been most interesting when we're sort of like dealing with Crosshair and his sort of rejection of the group and this new team that he's assembling, and, you know, human stormtroopers as opposed to clones, and some of the overall Star Wars stuff that I think they're trying to address, but they're just getting at it really in a sort of a slow-paced way that doesn't make the most exciting week-to-week viewing.
Correct. Yeah. And it's kind of, for me anyways, like I still want to tune in every week because I want to see what they unfold. And I am also particularly interested in what's happening on Kamino and Targan's plan, and how they eventually we see they do away with the clones and we bring in, you know, actual recruits, and then how that, you know, goes all the way to where we see like where Finn, you know, happens. So I'm very curious about all of that, if they're going to tie it to the whole Snoke thing at all, because he was a little weird. Yeah. Like, you remember we saw the tubes in the Mandalorian,
right?
Yeah. So I'm thinking that because they keep talking about the superior clone, if that could potentially tie in, they're like, we need a direct specimen. I'm like, so is the specimen Omega? Then if so, what is it about her or specimen, if that's what leads us into Grogu, who has the midichlorians?
I like that, Wendy. I like that.
That's my whole reason for holding on, which by the end of it could go a completely different direction. We don't know. But another thing I really liked in this episode was we found out a little bit more about Fennec from the Bad Batch POV. Like, we've already seen her badassery essentially in The Mandalorian. So I was like really cheering her on her episode, even though she's technically the antagonist of episode 4. But I was still like, yeah, Ming-Na, forever, queen. So I like that Sid kind of is saying, like, she's new on the scene, but she's had, you know, she's obviously good at what she does. She's built up a reputation. So I kind of like that. And the little hint of like, hey, you know, if you continue to do me some favors with Sid over here, I'll keep your little operation and Omega a secret. And I'm like, nothing is safe in this galaxy at all. Like, everybody is they're going to say it's all business. And probably my favorite part of the series, aside from the super adorable Rancor, and I cannot believe how cute Moochie was. I was like, what? Like, I can see toys I can see toys already. I'm gonna buy it. Is the little cameo by Bib Fortuna.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And for a hot minute, I really thought for a whole night, I thought that Muchi was eventually going to grow up to be the Rancor that Luke fights
In Return of the Jedi.
Do we think
that's
the case? I think
it's apparently not, according
really?
to all the internet sleuths. So nothing confirmed by not Marvel, sorry, nothing confirmed by Disney or like Lucasfilm or anything, at least from what I saw. But they're saying that the other Rancor had a name as well, Luke's Rancor, and he was named Batista. So it's a different one. But I wonder if, I don't know, if we follow Bib Fortuna back to Jabba's palace or something, because obviously he cares a lot for his Rancors. We'll see. Maybe we'll see Muchi in Book of Boba Fett. Oh my gosh, what if?
Yeah.
Because they're sitting in Jabba's palace now. This is what I like about, this is what I'm liking about these shows, getting the TV shows and the movies and all that stuff. Like, they could potentially, within the timeline, intertwine. Potentially.
Yeah.
So I thought, that's really cool. What are you guys hoping to see for next week? Let's go with Jami. Like, what do you want to see if it's on your wish list? What you could get?
Well, I guess I'd like to see more of Crosshair and what's ending up with him and sort of the team that he's training, and the overall, sort of whatever Tarkin is planning. And I'd love to see more. I'd love to see more of Fennec. I'd love to see more of any sort of other legacy characters that we might recognize. I think this was a great cameo this week. And so I'd like to see a little bit more of that, but more action. And wherever the story is going, like, let's start to unfold. Let's get there a little quicker. Yeah.
What about you, Mark?
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Just get the story long, stop with the same storyline that's been going on for the past couple of episodes. More Crosshairs, more Fennec. Just get the story moving to where we get to see where the season is gonna eventually lead to, because so far it's just been feeling like it's a bunch of mini stories that doesn't really tie into the overall story arc. It's just little mini adventures, little side quests. So I just want to see, them go back on the main quest and stop going on all these side quests. So just move it along, guys. Just move it along. There's how many episodes? 16, and we're on 5.
Well, 6 this week. So, and I wonder if they're gonna do a mid-season break. You know how sometimes they do that in the past. Yeah. I don't think they'll do it now because they got to finish it at this time, and then queue us up for the Book of Boba Fett. So I'm guessing there's gonna be no break. But in the past, when they used to watch it on Disney XD, remember that on Rebels, they would give us breaks, and I'm like, what do you mean there's breaks? There's only been 3 episodes. I used to get angry. Same to you guys. Echoing your thoughts here. I would like to see, and I'm not saying every episode needs to be action packed for me to be interested in it. I just want a good story. I've been dying to, aside from seeing more of Fennec and Crosshair and Tarkin, I am very interested in Omega's origin. Right. Exactly. She is a clone. They've addressed that. But what is she cloned from? Because is it Jango? Because she doesn't really have his features, at least not right now. So I wonder exactly what that is, and why aren't they revealing it to us just yet? So I'm very curious about that. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and we'll be back, of course, next week to talk a little bit more about episode 6. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, and we're talking a little Black Panther, a little Dora Milaje. So Danai Gurira is set to reprise her role as Okoye in the Black Panther Untitled TV series, which totally makes sense to me. She is a prominent featured figure in the Black Panther movies. When you think Dora Milaje, her face and Ayo's face immediately pop up for me. And I know Nakia is not technically Dora Milaje. She's technically a spy, but I believe in the movie she did, don the gear of the Dora Milaje for the big battle. So I am really excited, and I don't see any show or movie where you talk about the Black Panther world in general and you don't bring in the Dora Milaje. So are you too excited to see her come back in both the series and the film?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a surprise that she's coming back for the film. And I really don't think it would have been a shock if they had done the series and not brought her back. Because I don't really know what a Wakanda series is going to be if it doesn't have, you know, some characters that we recognize and that we know. And she is a perfect example. I mean, I'd love to see Lupita come back and you know, at least for a couple of episodes. I mean, I don't know exactly what the plan is. Is it going to be kind of, I mean, now that the film is sort of shifting a little bit to be more of Wakanda, the movie, than T'Challa, Black Panther specific. I wonder how that's going to adjust the TV series, which sort of seemed to me before Chadwick Boseman's passing that would be the Wakanda, you know, series. So I don't really know what the difference is going to be. I would assume that the movie will focus more on who has the throne next, and maybe the series is going to be more specifically about the world of Wakanda, the Dora Milaje, and some of the inner workings. I think whatever plans were set before Chadwick's passing is certainly, things are different now. And I think that would affect it. I think that affects the TV show as much as the movie.
Yes. What about you, Mark? Thoughts on seeing the Dora Milaje all over again?
I mean, it makes sense because she was the only one that survived Thanos' snap. I mean, yeah.
Well, it was definitely heartbreaking to see. Remember? Oh God, I'll never forget. He's like, "Get up! This is no time to rest." As he's like dusting away. I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, and then you find out that, oh man, it's really early in the morning. Yeah,
yes,
no, the sister.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, how you find out?
Shuri.
Yeah, Shuri.
Yes.
Thank you.
Was she dusted? No, she wasn't.
No, she wasn't.
No.
And M'Baka also wasn't.
She was dusted.
She was dusted.
She was in.
M'Baka was not. I just wanted to
know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
M'Baka and Donna's character, Danai's character, and then I don't know that we know who else from Wakanda was or was. I mean, we know Angela Bassett was, and we know obviously Chadwick and Shuri were, but I don't think we ever got a scale, and maybe that's for the series, sort of the scale of who of the Dora. I mean, was it half the Dora Milaje? Was it more? We don't really have a sense of that, but we do know M'Baka survived as well as Danai,
right,
Okoye,
yeah.
You know that you guys go ahead, Mark. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is that she was? You know, we knew that M'Baku survived, but he wasn't in Endgame up until the very end.
Correct. That's correct.
So for Okoye to have a prominent role within the Avengers post snap, that's like big. So that's why it really wasn't that surprising that she gets her own like TV show, because she was one of the big parts of post snap Avengers. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm glad you mentioned it. I would love for the series to explore that. And we've already seen the series, both of the Disney Plus series explore sort of post blip. I'd love to see, at least some mention of the fact that Okoye was an Avenger for all intents and purposes for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, fans know that, when she has that little scene with Scarlet in Endgame, she mentions some trouble underwater, and everyone thought that was Namor. That means Namor's coming. Yeah. And of course, we've heard that Namor might be the villain of Black Panther 2. So it would be really interesting to explore her blip period and how, after the blip affected her.
Yeah.
I love the points that you both brought up, and it's got me thinking, what if, I mean, obviously we don't really have any other info other than she's going to reprise her role, and if she's in it, of course we can expect other Dora Milaje members to be to appear on the show as well, probably Ayo, because we saw her already coming back to kind of cameo in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So And they even that show they brought us back to Wakanda for a little moment with the White Wolf. So I thought that was interesting because what I'm most interested in about the show, movie aside, because I'm like, whatever story they decide to tell, I'm so excited for it, and I'm gonna just eat it all up with a spoon. But for the TV show, I think they can not only explore what happens post blip, and then once they come back from the blip, they can also, give us more of an insight into Wakanda itself, like the hierarchy, the politics, the different tribes, and the tech. Like they have the most intelligent tech in the world, where Tony Stark would be like, oh my God, this is, I've never seen anything like this before. So I would love to see the show really explore that. And I think it would be interesting if Danai was the lead in the show. We see the story of, in the TV series from her point of view, from her being, growing up in Wakanda. And do you enlist in the Dora Milaje? Do you just become Dora Milaje? I don't really know how that works. So I would love to kind of see how that happens and her growing up, from adolescence to teen year to adulthood. And perhaps since she wasn't snapped, does she go back to Wakanda to deliver the news of what she saw happen with T'Challa, and then realizing Shuri and the Queen and everybody had been blipped, and her and what's his name? The other
M'Baku?
M'Baku, maybe they have to learn to kind of rule together and make sure that, Wakanda is still being run efficiently and things like that. So that would be really interesting way to kind of, break into the series.
Also remember this. We have Daniel Kaluuya. We don't know what happened to Daniel Kaluuya.
Are they together? They're a couple in the film.
They are, but not
at the end.
Yeah, we don't know quite. Yeah.
But they were a couple.
Right. So we don't know. I mean, listen, there's a lot. Forrest Whitaker. I mean, there are a lot of people in Wakanda that we don't know the status of during the blip. So there's a lot to uncover there, I think.
Yeah,
there's a lot. We can't wait.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Black Panther 2 will follow kind of sort of the same suit that Thor 2 went through, because you know how Thor 1, it's like half Asgard, half Earth, and then Black Panther was half Wakanda, half outside.
Yeah.
And so I have a feeling that Black Panther 2 will be mostly set in Wakanda, similar to how and the other tribes, similar to how Thor 2 was. So that's my guess on how, and then that's how it's gonna tailor into the next Disney Plus show.
I can see.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
I think we have some pretty good leads here. So we'll check back with this show when the show actually comes on to see if any of our predictions and fan theories are right.
We got the receipts.
Just click on the show right here. What happened on May 31st? What did the Pop Council say? We're going to go ahead and dive into our next topic here. We're talking nothing else but Kraven the Hunter here. So Aaron Taylor Johnson has been announced. He is cast as the lead role in Kraven the Hunter, not just as a cameo role in any other movie, but getting his own solo film January of 2023. What were you guys' thoughts when you heard that they've cast Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter? Let's go with Mark.
I wonder how they're going to explain this in the overall MCU universe. I know they said that the Sony universe is the Sony Spider-Man universe, aside from Spider-Man himself, is different from the MCU. But, I mean, they're going to have to do like a lot of, they're probably not going to do a lot of explaining and a lot of connection to, his time in the Avengers universe. But it is going to be interesting to see how how audiences perceive him, because are they going to be confused on whether we just saw him as Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, but here he is in the playing Kraven the Hunter. But at least we know he can actually do a Russian accent, because he kind of sort of had one with this Sokovian accent in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. But maybe this is the reason why he maybe wasn't asked to come back for WandaVision.
Because it would be even more confusing.
Yeah. because maybe somehow, you know, Feige heard that he might be in the running for Kraven, and so, you know, in his head, he's like, okay, let's just go in a different direction with this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just speculation, obviously, but maybe that's exactly what I was thinking. It was like, maybe this is why he wasn't in WandaVision in the first place, because he got, you know, was in the running for Kraven the Hunter. So I'm still looking forward to it, because Kraven is one of, you know, my top 5 like Spider-Man villains, other than, you know, Venom, Carnage, you know, Green Goblin. You know, I mean, there's more, but you know, those are my top 3 at least.
Yeah,
But,
agree with that.
So,
what are your thoughts, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting news on a lot of different reasons, many that Mark just spoke of. There have been rumors that Kraven was a villain they wanted to introduce in Spider-Man No Way Home. I think, obviously, that movie is packed with villains at this point, if those rumors are true. So it didn't seem like there would be room for Kraven in that. The fact that they're launching Kraven in his own film, I think is really interesting. We know, and I think it was even mentioned by Feige recently, that there is a goal to eventually have the Sony MCU sort of link up with the MCU, the Sony verse link up with the MCU, and that No Way Home is going to be sort of a portal to that. And you know, with some of the rumors we've heard, I think we all kind of know how that could work out. So, you know, as far as like Aaron Johnson, I think he's great. I think he'll be a great Kraven. He's a great actor. As far as how they'll deal with the sort of, you know, Quicksilver of it all, I think they went a long way to solving that problem with Boner in WandaVision. Because we have now established that there are characters in this MCU universe, there are people that look like people from other universes. That might not have been explained in the series, but we as an audience know that now, right? Because Peters wasn't playing his Petro. So, so I think, you know, and Wendy, we were talking about this last week with Gemma Chang for Internals, you know, the fact that I think now they've opened a door where actors who were just the voices of characters in the MCU, like Bradley Cooper or Vin Diesel, could actually, or even Batista, who, you know, is covered in stuff, could be cast as another character. So since we've already sort of opened that door, it wouldn't surprise me that, you know, we might be able to establish that, yeah, the Quicksilver of the MCU does look a lot like the Kraven of the Spideyverse.
Yeah.
But that's just how it happens. And this is something that's been established in the DC Arrowverse TV shows, you know what I mean, with all their multiple Earths. And, you know, we have Brandon Routh plays the Atom, but then he also played his Superman which was essentially Christopher Reeve's Superman, you know what I mean? So I think superhero fans, comic book fans are aware of the multiverse enough that this isn't going to be, casting's not an issue for them, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so either. And I agree, like Kraven and Quicksilver could not look more different. Yeah, you know, when you look at the comic books, it's so different.
Aaron's going to look so different as Kraven. Yeah.
Completely dark. He's going to probably have a little... Yeah. And I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson has, I think from one of the reports that I read, that the director saw his performance in Bullet Train, the one with Brad Pitt. And saw that one and immediately, the upcoming one, and just heard about or saw his performance and was like, I need this guy to play Kraven. So I actually can't wait to see that movie, to see exactly what it is about that performance in particular. It's like, we know Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's been around for a long time. We know he can do action. We know he can act, and we know he can take on different characters. And he also, like, from his physicality, from like, let's say Kick-Ass all the way to Tenet, like he's like huge. In Tenet, where I kind of didn't recognize him. I was like, wait, is that, does the face look familiar and the voice sounds familiar? Who is that? Aaron Taylor Johnson, you know? So, and there was also a lot going on in the movie. So I was just trying to pay attention to the dialogue. But yeah, so I'm excited because, to be honest, the first time I kind of took a look at this picture as Kraven, and the first person that came like into my head as casting, because I don't have any imagination, would have been Momoa. because I can see with the fur coat and the open vest and the dark hair and stuff like that. Like,
Momoa would be good.
Yeah,
he would be good, but he's also Aquaman.
Right.
And he's busy with that. So, I mean, I'm not saying he can't cross, but I think he's busy.
Batista came to mind for me. But
nice.
I think the big guys. I think we're in the right.
Yeah.
yeah. But Wendy, I wanted to pose a question to both of you, because I think there's a larger question here I'd like to ask, which is, and we don't know the answer yet because Morpheus got postponed, so we haven't seen how that does yet. But how do we think? Is there an audience for these solo Spider-Man villain movies that, by the way, aren't necessarily Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin, you know what I mean? Like they did with Joker. It's almost like doing Clayface the movie, right? Or Bane the movie, where it's not the number one character. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, is there enough for a whole Kraven movie? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like if they are moving forward with this Morbius movie, right? I am actually kind of excited to see how this one does, and I think this is going to tell us that they have plans for these, like, I don't want to call them all villains, and they're villains.
Anti-heroes for sure.
Yeah,
because you can make the argument with Venom that he can be a hero. I mean, yeah.
So I'm very curious to see, and I think that they wouldn't just go and jump into this without having a plan. And I think this is going to be a really interesting way to introduce these characters to us, because oftentimes we see them shoved into a movie that's already got, a lot of stuff going on. And then we sit here and complain, oh, this villain didn't have I didn't connect with it. And they were kind of the stroke your mustache kind of a typical villain, and they have no depth. And I think through these films, we can hopefully get the arc and the character development that we really would want and journey with them. Not necessarily sympathize with them, but also people love villains. And like, why wouldn't you want to see, their own solo movies? And I think it's time for us to give these guys their spotlight, because it's always like, hero, solo movie here, solo movie there. Just giving them out like Halloween candy. But the villains, it's taken them a little while. And I think we saw the start with but we saw the effect of Joker and how what that was perceived, and I would love to continue to see that with some of these other villains.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really fine line what Sony is doing, because you can either end up with its own, successful cinematic universe, or it can end up as the dark universe. So it's a fine tightrope that they're walking, because Venom was good, it was successful. Morbius, we have no idea yet. Kraven, we have no idea yet. But what happens, God forbid, if one of those movies isn't as successful as they expected it to be, kind of like The Mummy. So It's just going to be, because that's pretty much the only characters that Sony has and is banking on, other than Spider-Man in the MCU, is the villains, because like Batman, like you said, is rich with wonderful villains, and they all have their rich backstories, they all have unique characteristics that make them lovable among Spidey fandom. So I'm just gonna wait and see how successful it's gonna be before I can pick and choose which one I want next. So let's just hope that if Morbius does well, if Venom 2 does well, that they move on with the rest of the Spidey villains,
and finally give us like a Sinister Six.
Well, I think that's what they're going for.
Just
certainly,
leading,
with No Way Home bringing back Dr. Octopus and Electro, and rumors of Willem Dafoe, and
now Kraven the Hunter. Like, they're definitely setting it up, but you kind of like exactly like Mark said, is you hope that these movies with good directors attached to it, that they can tell a good story, and that people are invested enough to be like, okay, like and I think the fan base is there to want a Sinister Six. We've been talking for a long time, even before this is a thing. So I like that with what Sony / Marvel are doing is like taking their time and build it, and hopefully they've done enough like R&D and gotten the right actors and the directors, and everything has to kind of come together. And then us as audience, like I just want to go in and try not to have too much of an expectation. I do hype myself up before these movies, like I'm so excited to see this and that, and I put certain things that I want in my head, and then I don't get it, and I'm, you know, I come out a little disappointed. So I'm really trying to still remain very excited going in, just to be, you know, like this is such a great time to be a fan and a nerd, to get movies like these, and not to try to expect too much, and just go in and have a good time and buy merch. That's all I want. Have a good time and buy merch. So yeah, I mean, I'm liking what Sony's doing, and you know, especially now we're getting also like Into the Spider-Verse 2, you know, a little bit more with Miles Morales. I'm just trying to see everything come together, and I feel like Spider-Man No Way Home is gonna be like a little bit of a sneak peek into what we potentially could get, because this movie is beefy. Like we're getting potentially so many characters.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It really is a lot.
It's like, this is confirmed. This is rumor. Green Goblin could, you know, Willem Dafoe could come back to do this, and it's a whole thing. And I know we're not really talking about that today because it's not really confirmed by Marvel or Sony. They hadn't comment on it, so it would make sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up to, you know, to be Green Goblin again, because we were getting Doc Ock and literally everybody and their mother coming back to this one. So let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. A really quick, short one, but you guys know Cobra Kai. Nope, not Cobra Kai. Just kidding. Secret Invasions. My words are all over the place. Secret Invasions is coming back, and we have none other than Christopher McDonald coming in, joining the cast to play, well, a secret role. We don't exactly know which role he is going to play, but I am hearing from reports that it is a role created. I know, shooter. That it's a role created specifically for him. I've also read reports where that his role, whatever it may be, could potentially serve as a connective character that connects the MCU films to the MCU TV shows. And that's really intriguing to me. If that is the route that they go, again, nothing's confirmed. We don't know. But like kind of hearing that theory, I actually would love that, because I love the role of Coulson and what he did for the movies, and then eventually into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I was really, really sad to see what had happened to him. And I was like, wait, no, this can't be. So just to have another character to kind of serve as now something different. We don't really need to bridge the movies together anymore, because I think that's established. But now the TV shows, and we've seen, you know, Skrulls appear in WandaVision, and like we know Secret Invasions is coming, and what kind of role this is going to have with the Captain Marvel movie, the Marvels coming up. So I can't wait. How excited are you guys to see Shooter Christopher McDonald in a secret role in Secret Invasion?
I mean, you saw me with the guns. Like, I loved, you know, Christopher McDonald since Happy Gilmore. I mean, he was just the ultimate, like, you know, idiot, but he's also a lovable idiot in that movie. So, I mean, and especially since I read up on the possibility of him being, you know, moving on to other MCU projects. And that, like you said, you know, immediately made me think of Agent Coulson. Like, is he, you know, part of SWORD? Is he a part of whatever organization like that Nick Fury has set up in space, you know, in that post-credit stinger? I mean, it's going to be, whatever he does, it's going to be good. And, you know, it's possibly going to be funny as well, because he's one hilarious dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's like really exciting. Jami, your thoughts on, did I lose you guys again? My audio is going in and out. I'm so sorry.
I can hear you, Wendy. Yeah, Chris McDonald. I love Chris McDonald. You know, it's funny. One of the things I remember him from, we just lost Charles Grodin a week or two ago, and my favorite movie is Midnight Run that Charles Grodin was in. A lot of people don't know they've made 3 Midnight Run TV movies as sequels that starred Christopher McDonald as the Robert De Niro character. Yeah. So, Jack Walsh. So that's how I always think of him as the TV version of Midnight Run. But he's awesome. I think, and I love it that he's a veteran actor. You know, whatever they need, I mean, he's plug and play. Whatever they need him to do, he
is plug and play.
Yeah, he's gonna knock it out of the park. I mean, that's a given. My first, you know, it's interesting what you guys were saying about, like, yeah, it would make sense, if like he's ultimately a Skrull, or if he's, hiding as some sort of sword agent or something like that. I also kind of thought of Gary Shandling and sort of his senator roles in the Iron Man movies. I think, what was it, Iron Man 2, and maybe he shows up in, but he shows up in another one. Was it Civil War? He maybe shows up in Civil War.
Civil War.
Yeah. Because Gary was in 2 of them at least. So that, right, because then he's revealed as Hail Hydra in Civil War. Yeah. So, or no, not Civil War. Winter Soldier. That's what it was. But yeah. But so I think it'll be great, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's some sort of government official role that maybe we later find out is a Skrull. And we don't necessarily know if the Skrulls are the bad guys or the Kree, because they're switching everything up too. So it'll be interesting. Maybe he's a shape-shifting Kree. I mean, we don't know.
Oh, well, I mean, that's true. He's just going to be so much fun, especially if he was a Skrull and we see him in scenes with Ben Mendelsohn. Those two are going to have fun. And I kind of love that terminology that you gave, Jamie, the plug and play. I feel like that needs to be on actor's resume. What kind of an actor are you? I'm plug and play. Put me in, coach. I'll do anything. And I'm good at it.
That's not to take away. I mean, obviously, we know Olivia Colman can do anything.
Yeah, they're all kind of plug and play at this point.
All great actors are plug and play, but I just meant sort of, he's such a veteran and is so, and also a character actor. So he's so good at kind of taking those small roles and hitting them out of the park.
Yeah, Yash here in the comments says Chris. Yeah, he really is. So it's really fitting to make him a shapeshifter. It makes sense. Just shaped into anything. It's perfect.
Right.
Yash in the comments here says Christopher McDonald was funny AF in superhero movie, and NK Songbird writes Christopher McDonald also currently on show Hacks on HBO Max. Great show.
Yep. Oh, okay.
I've been hearing that about Hacks, so I think I'm going to take some time today to watch a couple of episodes. I've been diving back into to kind of tee us up for the next topic. I've been diving into Cobra Kai because I kind of lost my momentum when they, switched over to Netflix, and then I watched for a little bit, but then like time and life happens, and then so I am still catching up in the midst of episode 3. So this is, I feel like, I want to say spoiler, but also not at the same time, because this makes me so happy. We have, they're teasing it. Where's that photo of good? Oh no, I didn't put it in. Well, Terry Smith is returning, guys, in Cobra Kai season 4, played by the one and only Thomas Ian Griffith. And so this is really exciting, especially in that cute little teaser video that they put with the iconic ponytail.
The ponytail,
the ponytail. Like you can't do away with the hairstyle. I'm sorry, he's had to stick with the hairstyle for so many years. In this, as
we're gonna know it's him.
How else would you? Yeah, it's kind of like Clark Kent with the glasses thing. It's like without the ponytail. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. Who are you?
Yeah.
But I'm really happy about a season 4 announcement. I think Cobra Kai is doing really great. I feel that the nostalgia and just kind of the new fans that they also brought into this series is just been really great for us, like growing up, watching Karate Kid and Sweep the Leg and Mr. Miyagi Wax On, Wax Off and all that stuff. To have this show come back is really interesting, because when I first heard, I was like, do we really need like Cobra Kai? Okay, it's a different approach, especially watching Karate Kid there. But then 2 episodes in, I'm like, yeah, I'm hooked. Okay. And then, they came off of the YouTube platform, and rightfully so. I feels like when they kind of were brought over to Netflix, it felt like they came home to me. I felt like production, they were able to do so much more with it. And you guys' thoughts on Cobra Kai season 4 and the return of Terry Silver?
By the way, Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother would totally disagree with you on if we need a Cobra Kai TV series. That's beside the point. I mean, I don't want to kind of like spoil it, because I know you're still trying to catch up, but they did sort of like tease Terry Silver in the finale. The previous season.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you how, because I'm going to leave that to you to
I'm going to have to watch it right after the show.
Yeah, and discover for yourself. But to finally get that confirmation that he's, going to be back is, kind of huge, because he was basically the co-founder of Cobra Kai, along with
Martin Cove's character. Martin Cove's
yes.
character.
Yeah. The big a-hole, as I like to call him, because he
is it
really
kind of funny that I also can't remember his name, but I will immediately say Martin Cove? Is that weird?
I was taking the safe bet.
Yeah. It is still really early in the morning, so I'm just gonna chalk it up to that. But yeah, it's he's a snake, man. That's why I'm gonna be very interested in seeing, how both Martin Cove and Terry Silver, play out against, Daniel and oh my god,
the rest of the kids, essentially.
Yeah. So, it's a 2 versus 2 kind of team. So I'm all for it. Can't wait.
This is really exciting for me. Like I remember growing up with Karate Kid, and then like running to like run around my backyard and like fake kick things, and then getting yelled at because when I was destroying things and making things dirty, and two, could potentially hurt myself. My mom's like, stop watching these movies. Just stop. Stop watching them. But all my cousins are boys, so we watch them all the time. And they're like, we're play fighting outside. And she's like, oh my God, I can't put her in a skirt. Just look at her. Tomboy. I'm like, what's happening? And she's just like, oh my gosh. So I'm excited to like catch up and to see how just to have like the gang back together. And I know that we're supposed to be like, oh, we're all enemies, and like, this team and that team, Cobra Kai and sweep the leg and all this and that. But I can't wait for season 4 to return. And this is huge. And I want to say is this the final season?
They haven't said anything.
That's to be determined. Yeah. I hope not. Because I think it's kind of cool to have them, continue to bring these characters back. And like, wouldn't it be cool if Hilary Swank showed up at the end?
They've talked about that.
They've talked about that, right?
I think that's definitely something they would like to do. And obviously they brought Elizabeth Shue back, and I really enjoyed this series. I liked it a lot in the beginning because I liked the idea of Johnny being the hero and us seeing things from his point of view, and LaRusso really being the villain. That has sort of switched and back and forth, and obviously now that we're going into season 4, they're on the same side, so that became a little less interesting for me. But when they brought Martin Cove back and Wendy, you'll get to see a lot of his backstory and how he became who he became, and how Cobra Kai became what it became, as well as Terry in that backstory. So you
that's
get
what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think
that's exciting.
You'll get Terry's backstory in season 3, which then sets up Terry coming back in season 4. And to me, when karate, and I was also a huge Karate Kid when I was a kid. I had the bandana, and I was in the back doing the crane kick and the whole thing. And I loved part 3, which is where Terry was introduced. The third movie. And it was at the time in the, I guess, late 80s, early 90s when Steven Seagal was like the big action thing. So he had a definite Seagal look to him with the pony. Yeah. So there was always a little kind of thing going there where maybe he was playing Seagal a little bit as much as Terry Silver. So I think that there's a whole lot of fun that we can have with this next season. So I'm really excited. That actor's probably been waiting 25, 30 years for this to happen. So,
the phone call.
So I'm really excited for him, and really excited, obviously, for Martin Cove and for Johnny and everyone. And it would be great for them to bring back Hilary Swank and somehow sort of, because Karate Kid Part 4 was always kind of an outlier to the rest of the series. You know what I mean? It really was almost separate in a way. So it would be nice to see them kind of bring it all back together. And, get 2-time Oscar winner Hilary Swank would be quite a coup for that series.
Mm-hmm.
So
have her $1 million baby it up in this one. It's gonna be great. You guys, we have just a few more minutes left on the show. So I kind of do want to dive into, we talked about this before we went live today. We know Avengers Campus is opening this Friday. I have a ticket to go. Mark has a ticket to go. Jami, we're gonna get you there one day. I drag you kicking and screaming. You're going. You're gonna eat that $99 sandwich.
No.
Oh man! But as the Pop Council here, as we love all nerd things, this is good. Like as if Disney is not like an adult child's playground. I'm talking about myself and no one else, because when I had a season pass, I went almost every weekend, not even necessarily going on rides. I just like being in that environment and like seeing people and seeing who I can run into and just experience things, and not one of those people who's like, I want to be first in line for everything. Usually I'll be like, this line's really long, and look at that family who's traversed how many states to get here, and like let them do the thing, and we won't take up room. But I'm very excited for Avengers Campus. We're gonna get to see obviously Pim's Test Kitchen as a foodie, as a self-proclaimed foodie. I'm very excited for the types of food because of like the appearances. They're playing with the big and the small. The web slinger ride, obviously. The ancient sanctum, and so much more. Like I can't wait. Mark, let's talk about your excitement for this, because you and I both spent some time last night looking at the merch, the upcoming merch for this area of the park. What are some of the things that you're gonna grab first when you go?
My wallet's gonna cry after this weekend. I'm a huge big time Iron Man fan. So I'm definitely going to get the repulsor web shooter for it. And if I ever find out that you can actually use both, web shooters for the ride, I'm probably going to get both repulsors, because being a big Iron Man fan, I want, to feel like actual Tony Stark and, just destroying with both repulsors. But that's an easy $130 right there, on top of all the other merch, like maybe the spider bots. There's a jacket that I want. The food, I want to taste all the food at the Pim's Test Kitchen. If I have a big group with me, I'm even willing to pony up, the $12 for the $100 sandwich. But you need a big group, because if you spend $50 on a panini sandwich, that's just, man, you're just like of
all the things you can spend the money on, right?
Yeah.
To feed a family. Yeah, to feed a family, I understand. I think California Adventures used to, I want to say this was California Adventures. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. But they used to do pizzas, full pizzas. I may be thinking of a different park. Maybe it was Florida or something like that. But I remember I was like, well, that's really smart for families. But who knows now, because of limited capacity and you're not able to combine I think they've lifted that for a while. It was you couldn't you couldn't buy the same ticket with someone that's another group that's outside of your household. That I don't know how they check that, but because I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing people's ID got checked to see if they're California residences, and I heard other people weren't. So it's I don't really know. Maybe it depends on the security team on the day. Maybe they're getting different directions. I don't know, but I'm very excited for it. And like Mark, I kind of want to make a beeline for the web shooter ride. And I hear that, I read this last night, that it's going to have the same onboarding experience as the Rise of Resistance, which is giving me so much anxiety, because the first time I did the Rise of Resistance, we got there in the parking lot, lining up to park 6:30 a.m. And then so we can get into the park at 8, because you need 2 hours to get into the park, because you're waiting for the tram. But now you don't have to wait for the tram. You can just walk. So we're going to get there early AF. We're going to put Navi in daycare. Everything's planned out already. I'm going on the 8th. So she's getting dropped off in daycare the day before. And then we're going to wake up at 4 a.m., get ready, because I take a really long time to get ready. Go to Disney, park, and phones out, everything, and hope we can get on, because wouldn't that suck? This is our one time that we can go and experience California Adventures with Avengers Campus open. I can't even get on this stupid ride.
Yeah. And
that's why I don't go.
Yeah.
Jamie's like,
I don't want anything.
Sucks for you.
Everything you're talking about sounds awful to me. I mean, I'm a huge nerd. I would love the experience, but lines and dog daycare and driving and getting there at 6 a.m. So for 2 hours, so you can be. It's crazy.
Heck yes.
I'll just wait till Disney has an event and invites me for something.
I mean, that's the dream.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, but
that's the way to do it.
Are not that lucky. So I'm just saying.
Some of us aren't that lucky anymore either. So
yeah,
yeah.
But what sucks is that I read that if you don't get whatever, if you don't get your web shooter ride boarding queue before noon, you won't be able to get Rise of the Resistance afterwards. So you have to choose one ride. If you don't get your boarding queue before noon, because you know how they said that you can sign up after
for Park
at
Hopper?
noon for Park Hopper. Yeah.
Yes. It's okay, we're not doing Park Hopper that day. We're just one park.
One park?
One park one day. Well, because we wanted to try and taste everything in this Pim Kitchen, $99 sandwich aside. So we wanted to make sure we devote the day so we can eat throughout the day, because I'm not going to gorge myself on food and then feel like crap the whole day and then complain that I had a bad experience. I'm not going to be that person.
I just want to say before we go, I would pay $100 for a sandwich. I would not pay $100 for that sandwich. The sandwich that I saw the picture of, that is not a $100 sandwich. I'm not against spending $100 on a sandwich. I'm against spending $100 on that sandwich.
Let me, before we go real quick, Avengers Campus sandwich, just in case you guys wanted to know why it's $100. So one, it's big, so it's meant to share. And now if you want to be daring,
ginormous.
Yeah, if you want to be daring and like get it and see if you can like challenge yourself to eat it, sure, by all means, but like know that's what you're doing to yourself. But it's called the Quantum Size Pinini sandwich to play on the Pim Kitchen name, and it has salami, rosemary, ham, provolone, sun-dried tomato spread on a focaccia served with marinara dipping sauce and an arugula salad. Serves 6 to 8 guests. There you have it. But yeah,
6 to 8.
It's 6 to 8. So I'm not going with 6 to 8 people, so I can get the smaller version of that sandwich for $14.49, apparently. According to Google.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So at least it's not exclusive, right? Because we kind of thought that it was exclusive only. We're like, well, that's kind of, like you just whisper to the people sitting next to you, like, hey, you want to go in with us on this? Just Venmo us some money. And then you like social distantly, pass over the sandwich. Anyways, it's a good time, and we will report back on our experiences. We'll have Mark come back and report on our experiences at Avengers Campus. So thank you so much for everyone who joined us on our awesome conversations today, talking about so many topics. Mark, where can everybody find you on social media to continue the conversation?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at PacmanNR7. And you can also find my writing and reviews at Nerd Reactor. So nerdreactor.com.
Nice. And for you, Jamie, where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, Instagram and on Twitter at Philbrick, and my name, Jami Philbrick, on Facebook.
Awesome. And you can find me everywhere at this business down here. Wendy Lee Szany is just my name. Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all that stuff is all the same. And the Movie Couple channel on YouTube. And don't forget, we're not the only show here on the HCA YouTube channel. We have I can never say this because I always want to say it fast. Horrifically horrifying. I'm horrified to say this. Every Wednesday with Heather Wixon and Kevin Taft. We have What to Stream on Thursdays, also at 11, hosted by Morgan Rojas, and What is Trending in Hollywood on Fridays. And I believe there's a new show by Tessa Smith, Mama's Geeky, and Jonita that is called The Long Box, kind of taking a deep dive into comics here. And I don't remember what day the show is on, but I want to say it's a Thursday as well. Oh, no, it's got to be Tuesday because we don't have a show on Tuesdays. So I'm going to guess it's Tuesday at 11, but correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments. So you guys don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week on the Pop Council. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.